First of all, good morning, and thank you for having me. So I think it's quite important to start with good news, particularly when you are early in the morning. And the good news is that we are okay with startups in Europe now. I think we are
Bravo.
Thank you. We have really startups everywhere, and for everywhere I mean every country, just the larger country, but also the smaller one, are producing startups, and not just the large city, but also the small cities. And compared just to the Europe of 5-10 years ago, it's totally different landscape, definitely better world. And so this is the good news. The lesser good news is that this is simply not enough. And so again, we started, but the way is all ahead of us. Because at the end, having startup doesn't mean almost anything. Because at the end, we care about 2-3 things: that having corporates that are able to grow and produce employment, revenue, and innovation at a scale. This is the 3 things that at the end produce results and can change this continent. And if we stay with the smaller one, again, we're just wasting our time. So that's why we really need to focus on the next thing that is turning all this innovation potential, that today is just simply a pure potential, to fact, and to turn into something that is able to do the 2 things that I was mentioning before. About myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started 3 companies in my life. There was one in far 94. Shut it down in 96 because pick up the wrong country, wrong timing, and wrong co-founder. So I learned on my way down. Then I started again in 96 with another one, sold in 2000. I haven't become a billionaire, unfortunately, if not, I would not be here. And I started again in 2003 with a third one. This time we put the headquarters in Silicon Valley. But we kept all the operations in Europe. And so we have a company that were able to raise $35 million from US and international investor, but is producing employment in Italy, and Portugal, and Ukraine. And so since 2005 I committed to Silicon Valley, and around 2007 to 2008, again, it's a dangerous age because you start looking back and you say, okay, what we've done so good for the world. And so we decided together with another Italian living in Silicon Valley and was manager at Google, Marco Marinucci, to create a foundation called Mind the Bridge, with the goal to give something back. Initially, we have a really limited scope to have our country of origin, to have to foster entrepreneurship, start venture capital, because it was 2007 to 2008, nobody was talking about startups. I told you, so it was totally different age. And we've been pretty successful in initiating the dialogue, in fostering this kind of ecosystem, and in bridging initially Italy to Silicon Valley. Not because we want to move stuff there, but because we believe that exposing Europe to what is happening in Silicon Valley has a gigantic value. And so we started bridging, and currently is what we are doing. We are creating bridges. And so if you ask me what are the 2 most important bridges that we need to activate, the first one is bridging between different ecosystems. I think bridging to Silicon Valley is relevant, it is important. Again, not because Silicon Valley can be replicated in here or has to be replicated in here, because Silicon Valley is something unique that probably can be replicated anywhere, not just in Europe. But the mentality of the Silicon Valley, the way they do things there, at the end, the Silicon Valley is not good at starting things, it's good at scaling them up at warp speed. This is the real differentiator of Silicon Valley. And that's something that we really need to learn. So this exposure to Silicon Valley, we believe, is really, really relevant and important. So that's why we organize once a year, together with the European Commission, a week program. It's called Startup Europe Comes to Silicon Valley. It's been September last year, led by Commissioner Oettinger, and we bring a delegation of scale-ups, the most interesting 15 scale-ups per year from Europe, corporates, investors, and policymakers to get exposed to Silicon Valley in a structured way. And typically at MinderBridge, we also host policymakers when they come over. We had the Libby Committee a few weeks ago, hosted by us, the STOA Committee was there too. And so we are happy to host them and to help them to read Silicon Valley with eyes that are a bit closer to reality. And also we try to, also in a way to turn these Silicon Valley tours fashion that is coming out into something more structured and more close to the fact that you can get some pragmatical learning from being there and be exposed to that culture. So this is the first bridge we activate as MinderBridge between the world and Silicon Valley, specifically Europe. And we are going to do this Startup Europe comes to Silicon Valley again this September 12th to September 16th, to reactivate this dialogue. The other things that I really believe is even more important is bridging the world of the startups to the rest of the business, to the established business, to the existing corporates. Because startups in the US account for 3% of the employment. Sorry for that. In Europe, probably 0.0 something percent. So again, we're talking about nothing, if not a gigantic potential of innovation. So if we are able to create a connection between the status of the world and the scalers of the world, we really can create value. And so we are working since a few years with the Commission, with DG Connect. We launched this pathway called Startup Europe Partnership, with the goal exactly to create this connection between the startups and established businesses. So we work with corporates like Orange, Telefonica, Telecom Italia, Enel, BBVA, Cisco, Sky, to create this qualified connection and creating business, investment, and strategic opportunity for startups, give them a way to grow up. If you ask me which is the next most immediate thing that we will do, is to try to replicate this platform that worked pretty well to not just to the large corporates, but also to mid corporates and SMEs, because we really need to contaminate with the startup culture, attitude, innovation potential, the backbone of our European industrial structure. So we really need to create this connection, we need to create this contamination. At this point we can put all the energy, all the innovation potential that is coming out from everywhere in Europe, as I told you a few minutes ago, and we put at service of what we already have. There are SMEs, mid-sized company that for years has been leading the way and now currently is a bit showing some fatigue. And so probably is an all-in or all-out game today, and we really need to be able to open this world to the innovation potential for startups. We can really make a dent and turn Europe into something that could be still a powerhouse of innovation, things that in the last year have been a bit lost the way. Thank you.